Thank you, Ian. Hello, everybody. I have two apologies to start with. First off, Johnny Singleton is our cousin, and I told him that perhaps if we had hired a real preacher, the rain would have held off the entire wedding instead of just for the ceremony itself. Johnny, thank you for doing that. The second apology is for those who haven't been to a wedding that we've been a part of. My welcome may last longer than the service itself, so I'll give you that to start. Anyway, everyone, on behalf of Glenn and Janet and Cynthia and I, we're delighted all of you have been able to come here tonight. We're thrilled to have you. We were a little bit concerned, I will admit. Amongst all of you, there were some issues in the last month or so. There were pacemakers that had to be adjusted. There were legs that needed to be mended from surgeries. And there was even a little baby that I think I hear over there that had to run from one side of Atlanta to the other in an ambulance just 10 days ago. We are glad you guys are healthy, and we're glad that you guys are all here. Of course, not everybody is completely healthy yet. Larry, we're still hoping for you. According to your wife, you still have some stupefied nature going on as a result of your COVID diagnosis a month or so ago. I know what many of you are thinking with Larry, how could you tell? But Larry, we hope you're doing well. Some of you are in the middle of a lot of significant activities too. The Phillips, our friends here from Washington, D.C., they're building a house on the Chesapeake Bay. He started it this year. He's building it himself, and it should be ready somewhere in 2023. So if you want a friend down near Urbana, please talk to the Phillips. The Cranks are here. They're building a house on Smith Mountain Lake. John is building it himself. John began in the Clinton administration. And it should be ready somewhere in 2035. Look, I know a lot of you had to travel yesterday in the midst of a lot of wind and rain and tornadoes and other things. We appreciate you doing that. You've come from Tennessee, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina. One of the furthest away, Matt and Marissa, where are you? Matt and Marissa came in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. On the other end of that, John Stewart, my nephew, where's John Stewart? John Stewart over there lives in Lynchburg, but specifically in Goode, so he got dressed at 3:15 and walked here. Which brings me to a very important announcement. Last year, when we did Catherine's wedding, I was responsible for the refreshments. And I got some unsolicited feedback about the refreshments that I had chosen. Apparently Pabst Blue Ribbon and Miller Lite weren't the kind of beer that everyone liked. The guys from the shop, yeah. All right, yeah. But in any event, thank you, Hunter Evans and Matt Lane, for that feedback. So we've made a change. Tonight, it's mostly Aslan beer that's here. Aslan is the brewery in Northern Virginia that Matt is a part of, and next week he will start running their operations in Pittsburgh. Congratulations for that. Along with that applause, then, if you don't like the refreshments, please see Matt. On the other hand, for those of you, and there are many, who might like the refreshments too much, I point out that this is a windy road when you leave here and it's very dark. So if you need sleeping accommodations close, please see John Stewart. Thank you both for that. And you know who we're talking about here. The guys from the shop. And Jennifer Koniger. And Ann Margaret. So everyone, look, we're delighted that you're here, but the main reason, of course, in addition to welcoming you here, is to welcome this guy, Mr. Torrance, into our family, just as Glenn and Janet so graciously welcomed Ashley into theirs last night. So Mike, My dear friend Mike. Although Jeff Nelson did a very poor job of vetting both Andy and Jay, I feel it's incumbent upon me, before you join our family, that I ask you just a couple of questions. Thank you. The first question, fairly simple, and I'd ask you just to simply answer yes or no. First, do you love our daughter? Yes. Catherine appreciates that. What about Ashley? Yes? Okay, all right, thank you. Mike, look, truthfully, we've done some background check, and we think it's critically important in any relationship that you start that you leave the other relationships behind. So, sir, is it true that according to the official records of the state of North Carolina Employee Credit Union, that you are remaining in a domestic partnership with a gentleman by the name of Kyle in Raleigh? That's true. On his behalf, I should probably explain what Mike says, that there was no sexual or emotional attachments to Kyle. He was just a roommate, but that as a part of the credit union, he was able to get an advantage checking and savings rate and a lower cost loan. And so therefore, that's where it came from, which means he's willing to do almost anything for a good financial deal, and therefore very fitting for our family. Mike, I've known Mike now for 5 years, and ever since we've met, this is not something, it's a description that won't set off fireworks, I'm certain. But the word that comes to mind for me, for Mike, is that he's very pleasant. In almost everything he does, good and bad, ups and downs, he's always pleasant. There's no emotion, there's no drama, which proves that opposites attract. Mike, 2 Thanksgivings ago, brought a motorcycle over to Carter and I. He's got a new bike, and he says, you know, I'm going to teach you guys how to ride a motorcycle. There were visions in my head of born to be wild. So he teaches us the brakes and how to go through the gears and those things. I drive it around in the driveway, no big deal. Carter gets on the bike, drives down the driveway, says, I'm going to take off a little bit further. He goes literally 35 yards just out of our sight, and we hear an unmistakable sound that's similar to a plastic spoon and a knife going into a kitchen garbage disposal. Being alert as we are, we said, that doesn't seem to make sense. We run down to the end of the driveway. Carter's coming up limping. He's got a cut and open on his jeans. The handlebars are at 45 degrees and the kickstand is dragging. And he runs up to Mike and said, I'm sorry, I've ruined your bike. And Mike said, it's just here for having fun. Again, perfectly pleasant, proving how good a guy he is and how my son should never own a motorcycle. But Mike, the most important thing for Cynthia and I know, is as long as we have known you, you have taken care of our baby. You've been there for her when she needs anything at all. You've been there side by side with her. You've taken care of her. And we're looking forward to you continuing to take care of her. But enough about my BMW 335. You've also taken care of Ashley, and we greatly appreciate that. She's indeed our baby. Ashley, you have been wonderful as a daughter, so very special to us. And when the girls were growing up, as many of you know, Cynthia traveled and the job of rearing the kids fell to me. So on the occasions when I made them lunches, Carter was smart, he took the money, but the 2 girls would pack a lunch. And so I had a brown paper bag for each one of them. I'd fill it with sandwiches and crackers and cookies or what have you. And then I took a magic eraser, or a magic marker, and one of those large ones with about an inch head to it. And I scribbled on the front of each, one MSP LBD, MSP BBD, and stands for yours for?
My sweet, precious little baby daughter.
my sweet, precious little baby daughter. So I thought I was doing great. This went on for years until the girls, who really never cared too much about my feelings, said, "Dad, when you do that, we take it into the school locker. It sits in there, it ferments with all of our clothes and our books, and it literally, the smell of the magic marker goes through into the sandwiches itself." So Mike, if in the years to come you find her huddled into a corner with a paper bag sniffing a magic marker, she's not an addict, she's a product of my parenting. In closing, the two of you have some wonderful relationships to model your relationship after. One of which is that, of course, of Glenn and Janet. You've also got a wonderful relationship to model it from with Harry and Mary Battistini, your grandparents. And I do want to thank TJU and Mike for going with us multiple times to Aiken to see her before she passed away. I don't know that she knew you were there, truthfully, or me, but we appreciated it very much. You've also had the opportunity to see my parents. And I know that some people would say history cannot repeat. Maybe it rhymes, but it doesn't always repeat. And that may partly be true. But I point to the following observations. My parents married in Lynchburg. Neither of you are from here. You're married in Lynchburg. My dad is 28 years of age. How old are you? 28 years of age. But it's interesting. My mother and he were separated by 9 years. Mike, how old are you? 37. Interesting. Now, the other interesting thing about that was that one gentleman, remarking on the distance between their ages, made a simple comment and expression to my mother at that time. And that person said the following.
What do you possibly see in that old man?
What do you possibly see in that old man? And you know the bizarre thing about that? It was my mother's father. John Richard Singleton, who had a son that we called Uncle Dick. John Richard Singleton, who had a son that we call Cousin Johnny. John Richard Singleton. History can indeed repeat, and I have good news for you that you can have a relationship of 75 years if you work at it, as all of them did. The bad news is, Mike, you will be 112. You will have 5 children, and the last of those children will be a doozy. So speaking of that, let me bring that one up for the blessing tonight. We love you both very much. Congratulations.
Not sure why I have to go after my brother, but anyway, I'm David Evers, the much better looking younger of the family. I think actually, unfortunately, still fatter though. I gotta keep working on that. Before the blessing, as the honorary Evers clan, not part of the actual wedding per se, is Mike to come to the family. You know, there's a lot of us in this room that are unfortunately now part of your clan. The clan of the Evers family is large. I would say probably half of this room. I know when we got in to sit in the seats, somebody said, "Who are all these people?" And then we all, okay, everybody go for the pictures. Okay, so everybody left for the pictures, but everybody else still stayed down there. So the family was all there. So, Mike, you get a dubious thing, though, and I don't want you to feel good about this. Come here, I got something for you. So I like props, right? Props are always fun. So Mike gets the honorary of being the 50th member of the clan. So, welcome to the family, brother.
Thanks.
All right, if you would please bow with me in prayer. Dear Lord, thank you for this perfectly timed, beautiful fall weather. Thank you for allowing us to all be here healthy. And thank you again, as my brother said, for the opportunity to travel safely to and from this joyous event. Please bless Michael and Ashley as they start their marital adventure and be with them through all the trials and tribulations within. Let them see clearly that it's through your guidance that they will be stronger as a couple. Here we are all fully aware of your power and grace, and that faith does indeed move mountains. I believe this is why Michael says, "Yea, God." Now, Lord, bless this food to the nourishment of our bodies so that we may do thy will. In Jesus Christ's name, amen.